Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. According to Tuesday, August 5th spoilers on The Young and the Restless, Jill Abbott will make a comeback for a Billy Abbott tirade and some grieving on the part of the Chancellor. In addition, Phyllis Summers will promise Kane Ashby, but her true motivation will be self-interest. Kane will first begin his strategy session in his athletic club suite with Billy and Phyllis. Kane will try to lock Jabot in as an ally even though Billy will still be reluctant to target him. Regarding Phyllis, she will assure Kane that she is capable of becoming the companion he requires. Phyllis will make every effort to persuade Kane that he can genuinely trust her. Since Phyllis is the kind of person who constantly looks out for herself, her devotion to Kane will only last so long. She will, however, continue to be loyal to Daniel Romalotti Jr. as long as Kane can make significant contributions to Phyllis's career while also creating opportunities for his. Naturally, there have been indications that Kane possesses a secret weapon. Is Jill that weapon? Jill will be back in Tuesday's YNR episode, so it's something to consider. Perhaps Jill regrets handing over control of Chancellor to the Newmans. When Jill finds out Billy is involved, she might be ready to help Kane get it back, but things could go south. In any event, when Billy and Jill are compelled to communicate once more, they will have a huge argument. Although Jill and Billy's hostility will be evident, her emotional outburst may have been influenced by Chance's passing. Since word of Chance's terrible end has spread, Jill will need to grieve. Jill might be angry with Kane for Chance dying on his land, even if she ultimately agrees to assist him. Nikki Newman will be furious with Victor Newman for trying to separate Claire Newman from Kyle Abbott and drive her away. Although Victor will maintain that he is attempting to protect Claire and save her heart from breaking, Nikki might counter that Victor has already inflicted enough heartache. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Nikki will try to get Victor to change his viewpoint before he permanently loses Claire, but he refuses. According to Tuesday, August 5th spoilers on The Young and the Restless, Jill Abbott will make a comeback for a Billy Abbott tirade and some grieving on the part of the Chancellor. In addition, Phyllis Summers will promise Kane Ashby, but her true motivation will be self-interest. Kane will first begin his strategy session in his athletic club suite with Billy and Phyllis. Kane will try to lock Jabot in as an ally even though Billy will still be reluctant to target him. Regarding Phyllis, she will assure Kane that she is capable of becoming the companion he requires. Phyllis will make every effort to persuade Kane that he can genuinely trust her. Since Phyllis is the kind of person who constantly looks out for herself, her devotion to Kane will only last so long. She will, however, continue to be loyal to Daniel Romalotti Jr. as long as Kane can make significant contributions to Phyllis's career while also creating opportunities for his. Naturally, there have been indications that Kane possesses a secret weapon. Is Jill that weapon? Jill will be back in Tuesday's YNR episode, so it's something to consider. Perhaps Jill regrets handing over control of Chancellor to the Newmans. When Jill finds out Billy is involved, she might be ready to help Kane get it back, but things could go south. In any event, when Billy and Jill are compelled to communicate once more, they will have a huge argument. Although Jill and Billy's hostility will be evident, her emotional outburst may have been influenced by Chance's passing. Since word of Chance's terrible end has spread, Jill will need to grieve. Jill might be angry with Kane for Chance dying on his land, even if she ultimately agrees to assist him. Nikki Newman will be furious with Victor Newman for trying to separate Claire Newman from Kyle Abbott and drive her away. Although Victor will maintain that he is attempting to protect Claire and save her heart from breaking, Nikki might counter that Victor has already inflicted enough heartache. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Nikki will try to get Victor to change his viewpoint before he permanently loses Claire, but he refuses. Tessa tries to speak to Arya at the park, but she refuses to use words. Daniel went into the park and watched Tessa with her daughter as she appeared increasingly anxious. Daniel approached Arya and made an effort to get her to talk and smile. He pulled out a bag of fishy gummies, saying he heard Tessa was out of fishy crackers. Tessa clarified that Arya was a single mother and that she was feeling a little off balance with Mariah away from home. Tessa didn't think Daniel's explanation that she was giving them space to avoid hurting them further was effective. Arya looked down and watched them talk. Daniel said that he might have something in his backpack that would make Tessa smile when she asked. Daniel got Arya to nap, and then Tessa and Daniel sat on a blanket on the grass. They searched the sky for creatures while stargazing. Tessa made an effort, but Daniel was more inventive until he let her notice them as well. When Arya woke up and realized there was an entire animal kingdom up there, Tessa said she felt more equipped to handle parenthood. Tessa acknowledged that she didn't want Arya to see her like that and that she was on the verge of losing it when Daniel arrived. She claimed that although she does her hardest to contain it, she often cries after Arya goes to bed. Daniel explained to Tessa that she couldn't accomplish everything by herself and urged her to ask for assistance when needed. In order for her to care for her daughter, he also suggested that she look after herself. "How did you become so intelligent?" Tessa inquired. "By repeatedly doing everything incorrectly," Daniel answered. Though she wouldn't wait indefinitely, Tessa stated that she was attempting to give Mariah some time. She remembered lying on the ground and watching the sky with Tessa. One of the bunnies was approaching them. As she stroked Daniel's arm, Tessa said, "When you're kind and gentle, you make others feel safe." Daniel recommended that they go fetch their instruments and have a lesson in music. Instead, Tessa asked if he could accompany her and Arya somewhere. Diane and Jack pondered at the Abbott mansion whether Victor would abandon Kyle now that Audra's scheme had failed. Jack believed that since Audra was going to lose everything, she should be the one to be concerned about. And it's dangerous for a woman to have nothing to lose. "No one knows better than me," Diane continued. No matter what plans and schemes Audra hurled at him, Jack was confident Kyle could handle her. "Which specific schemes and conspiracies are you referring to?" Billy came in from the dining room and inquired. He was a surprise to Jack and Diane. Billy expressed to Jack his desire to complete the discussion they had begun in France. Diane excused herself to go to the office, kissed Jack, and wished him luck as she left. When Billy was by himself, he questioned Jack about why he needed good fortune to speak with him. Diane acknowledged that Jack had discussed their difficulties with her and that change was necessary. Billy concurred as well. He informed his brother that it was time for them to part ways and terminate their business partnership. Billy and Jack went to the dining room while Jack yelled at Kane for having the audacity to relocate back to Genoa City after what had transpired. Billy pointed out that Kane wasn't responsible for the incident. In any case, Jack didn't think Kane was trustworthy and didn't see how Billy could entrust Kane with their future. Billy acknowledged that he wanted to try again with Kane. Kane was Aristotle Dumas, Jack rambled. Billy broke in to inquire about Jack's willingness to sell his stake in Abbott Communications. Jack told Billy that it was obvious that Billy intended to take back control of Chancellor Industries, even if he wasn't sure if Billy would accept total honesty. He pointed out that Billy would need to speak with Victor in order to accomplish that. Billy acknowledged that it was true and that he wanted to succeed. Jack informed Billy, "You have already signed a contract making Sally the CEO of the company." He claimed that although he had invested in Billy, he wanted to leave if there was any possibility that Billy wasn't managing the business. Jack claimed to be certain that he could work out a deal for them with Kane. Billy pondered what Jack was willing to give up so readily and what the catch was. Jack referred to himself as another barrier Billy could let go of, figuring Billy would be relieved that he wasn't pushing him in a direction he didn't want to go. Jack simply had to pretend that Billy would crash and burn without his control, Billy grimaced. Jack believed it was the care and support he had provided him over the years. Although he thought it was preferable that they be brothers rather than business partners, Billy told Jack that he valued his support in using the Abbott family name. Billy said, I think we can agree that we see the world differently. Jack believed that Kane was merely using Billy as a component in his jigsaw. Billy was prepared to take the risk. Diane exchanged brief greetings with Phyllis after spotting her in Crimson Lights. Phyllis claimed that although she had suppressed her disdain while at the estate, she believed they could now return to their typical unpleasant communication style. Given that Phyllis had gotten on Kane, Diane expressed astonishment that she didn't remain in France. She inquired as to if he had already been bled dry by her removal. Phyllis smiled and said, "The truth is au contraire, Diane. Kane couldn't get enough of her," she disclosed. Diane chuckled as they added sugar to their coffees and attempted to ask Phyllis about her and Kane's plans. Diane, according to Phyllis, was the last person she would divulge information to. Diane made fun of her since she was keen to strike a deal and didn't consider Phyllis to be a rival. "I believe Phyllis stepped over 2 dead bodies to make a deal," Diane said. Phyllis tried to convince Diane that she didn't take it lightly when she told her that she had witnessed Damien's death in Kane's arms. She reminded Diane that Chance was a decent man who dated her daughter, Summer. "Many people in Genoa City will miss Chance," Diane shrugged. "Including me." "I find it offensive that you would suggest otherwise," Phyllis yelled. Diane furrowed her brow in perplexity. She cautioned, "Phyllis, you're interacting with the man who caused those tragedies." Phyllis maintained that Kane was unaware of his assistant's mental illness and was not accountable for Carter's behavior. "The man did deceive his family and the rest of the world for the last 6 years, even if you're going to give him a pass for the 2 murders that occurred while we were held hostage," Diane said. "Diane, really?" Phyllis sneered. She reminded Diane that she had spent the most of Kyle's existence pretending to be dead, while Kane had simply concealed the fact that he had become wealthy and powerful. Diane retorted that Phyllis had also come back from the afterlife. Although she wasn't passing judgment on Kane, Phyllis acknowledged that she had as well. Kane and Phyllis were made of the same fabric, according to Diane. Diane went on, "It's no surprise that you're sleeping with Kane Ashby." Diane cautioned Phyllis that if she wasn't careful, she might be the next person with a knife in her back. But Phyllis left when Daniel and Tessa entered with Arya. Phyllis told Diane to ignore her when she swiped at her on her way out. Tessa suggested that Daniel catch up with his mother instead of continuing with the lesson she had originally planned with him. Because she didn't want to be overheard when they chatted, Phyllis urged him to go somewhere. As Phyllis and Diane glared at one another and left the room, Daniel nodded but appeared perplexed. Tessa appeared overburdened as she attempted to handle a work-related issue over the phone. When Diane saw her, she came to assist her with Arya. As they sat in a table to converse, Tessa was concerned that she had picked up the wrong bag and would not have Arya's favorite toy when she woke up. Tessa felt a sense of relief as Diane produced a bag of crayons. Diane advised her to try her best because children don't want them to be flawless, and it seemed like Tessa was doing just that. Phyllis informed Daniel that Aristotle was Kane when they went to society. Because Victor was holding on to the information until he could figure out how to utilize it to his advantage, she believed the news hadn't broken. Kane's move return wasn't good for everyone in Genoa City, Phyllis chuckled. Phyllis warned him, "You must never leave this room after what I'm about to tell you." She told Daniel that Kane intended to acquire all of the major corporations. Daniel made fun of her, saying she had no idea why she needed to keep it a secret and that it was a hazy secret. Phyllis explained, "Because I'm the one who's going to help him do it." Daniel wondered what had happened because he felt that Kane and Phyllis were already cold. Phyllis claimed that both she and Kane had changed. "Daniel may play a role in her plan," she said. Daniel believed that she was engaging in a lot of wishful thinking and that she was giving something that wasn't hers. Phyllis had complete faith in Kane and believed he was capable of anything. She wanted to work with him because he was a big success and an instant billionaire. She observed that everyone else was at odds with Kane, and that only she and Billy got along with him. Daniel moaned, Please don't tell me that Billy is involved in this plan. Although she was unable to explain why, Phyllis conceded that Kane was abusing Billy. She went on to say that Kane loved her thinking and respected her. Daniel couldn't help but be wary of the man, but he hoped things would work out for her. Billy stated, "Perhaps it's time to disregard caution," as he approached. Billy said that he was taking a chance on himself when Phyllis asked what kind of risk he was taking. Daniel mentioned how Kane was Aristotle. Billy stated that if Victor had known all along, he wouldn't be shocked. "This town's power dynamics are about to shift," Phyllis stated menacingly. "It certainly is," said Billy with a smile. Diane went to the patio at Crimson Lights to join Jack when he arrived. He informed her that although he appeared happy to be infatuated with Kane during his meeting with Billy, Jack could tell Billy hoped him would stay for some reason. Diane pointed out that although Jack had previously told her that he would do the same if it meant taking a shot at Victor, he was unhappy with Billy for wanting to collaborate with Kane. "It's accurate." Jack concurred, "If it meant sticking it to Victor Newman, I would make a deal with the devil." Jack said to Diane, "I have to think that my motivation for turning to Kane is far more noble than Billy's." According to him, eliminating Victor will shield Kyle from further assaults. Jack claimed that Billy would be in a precarious situation if he sold his shares to Kane. He claimed that he had no idea what Jill would make of it all. Jack believed that if Billy sided with Kane, there might be no going back and that this might be their final business dealing. Tessa showed Arya a sketch she had done with the crayons across the cafe. She told her a narrative about how much her mothers loved her while displaying her stick figures. Tessa made an effort to clarify that although her mothers get frustrated, they adore her beyond all else.